everybody, I'm going to talk to you today about how to determine how much funding you need for your startup. So it's a question I get asked all the time. How do I figure it out? How much money do I need in the bank? What do I have to think about? How do I calculate it? So that's what we're going to talk about. First, we're going to talk about startup costs. What are they and what are they not? So startup costs are generally everything that you spend on before you actually open your doors and start charging your customers. So it's a pretty simple way to think about it. If you're opening a coffee shop, for instance, your startup costs are going to include all those things you need to do to get the coffee shop ready. You got to lease the place. You've got to maybe do some remodeling. You have to get some signage going. You have to get your website going. All these things are going to happen pre-revenue before you start actually charging customers. Those are your startup costs. And how you determine them is really based on all the things that you need to spend before that first day and that first customer that gives you the first dollar. So in startup expenses, you're going to want to list out all of those expenses. If you're not sure what they might be, Google is your friend. Just go out there, search startup expenses for my coffee shop, for my whatever you might be doing. You're going to be able to get a list of startup expenses. You don't have to rewrite this or, reinvent anything. Stuff is out there. You're going to want to think about your assets that you're purchasing. So again, coffee shop is a great example. Everybody can understand that. Those really big fancy espresso machines that might cost $10,000, those are startup assets, right? You're going to have to buy them before you can start making coffee and charging people. And those are assets that are worth money. If for some reason you wanted to sell your business, you wanted to upgrade on those machines, you could sell that machine as an asset and you would get money for it. So anything big and tangible like that you might have to buy before you open your doors. If you have any sort of delivery business, the trucks are going to be your startup assets. So think about that. A startup asset will not be pens, paper, consumables like that. You're really thinking about something that is of value that if you wanted to, you could resell and you'd get a good amount of the value back if you resold it. So that's really how you think about those startup assets. And then you're going to need some cash as you get that business going. You're going to have to pay vendors, maybe contractors if you had to do some work on a brick and mortar space, or maybe some web developers who developed your website. You're going to have to pay them maybe even before you start getting revenue from your customers. That means you need cash in the bank. So you're really going to want to figure out what amount of cash and what's that cash runway you need until you're getting enough money coming in from your sales that the sales can take care of that cash ramp. So how do you figure out that cash and what's required? In order to really lay this out and make it simple, what you want to do is put a forecast together. And you want to think about how much am I going to sell and when am I going to start selling it? What are all my expenses and assets that I have to put together before I start selling? And then how am I going to pay for my supplies and my vendors even before I get sales? And that will be a full forecast, your revenue forecast, your personnel, your direct costs, your expenses, and that'll allow you to also put your cash assumptions in there. And at the end, you will get a projected profit and loss. Any of that projected profit and loss that is happening before you start selling, those are your startup costs. And then you'll also get a projected cash flow forecast. It'll actually tell you how much cash money you need in the bank every month until that business really starts generating that cash. And then that cash flow forecast will show that, and that cash will start coming into the bank, and you'll start to see that, and you'll see where you no longer need funding and financing because your business is now sustaining itself and that cash is coming in. But the only way to do that is to actually put together that full financial forecast. Thanks so much for watching and listening. If you're looking for free resources to learn more, we've got so many on bplans.com. You can really dig into startup costs. What are they? How do you build them? You can dig into how to determine how much funding you actually need for your business. Check out bplans.com. If you want the tool that's going to help you and you want to get away from messy Excel spreadsheets, check out liveplan.com. We've got you covered and we'll hold your hand all the way through. And remember, we're going to have lots more of these, so subscribe, come back, listen, and learn all about how to start, run, and grow your business.